Have you ever heard whispers on the wind that chill you to the bone? That was the question that hung in the air as we stood on the edge of the Whispering Lake. Known for its eerie reputation among the locals, this secluded body of water rested heavily under the weight of countless rumors and hushed stories. Tales of restless spirits lurking beneath its murky depths and chilling apparitions that danced across its surface once night fell were passed down from generation to generation. We were three boys, young, adventurous, and perhaps a little foolhardy. We had planned a camping trip right here by the lake. Despite the warnings, despite the stories, we were drawn to the thrill of the unknown, the lure of the unexplored. I was one of those boys, and I remember the thrill that coursed through my veins as we prepared for our journey. It was a strange mix of apprehension and excitement. The whispers of danger were drowned out by the echoes of adventure that promised a tale of our own. As the eldest, I felt a sense of responsibility. I knew the legends, heard the whispers, and saw the fear in the eyes of the locals. But there was also a part of me, a silent voice within, that was skeptical, that urged me to challenge the tales, to seek the truth. And so we made our way to the lake, our hearts pounding with anticipation, our minds filled with images of spectral figures and ominous whispers. We were armed with nothing but our courage and the naive belief that we could face whatever the Whispering Lake had to throw at us. As we set up camp by the lake, an unsettling silence fell around us. The whispering wind had died down, leaving us with the haunting stillness of the lake. The water seemed to ripple with a life of its own, reflecting the waning light of the setting sun. A sense of foreboding gripped us, tightening like a vice around our hearts. The lake was whispering. But what was it trying to say? Have you ever felt the darkness creep in, not just around you, but within you? It's an uncomfortable sensation, like an icy hand reaching out from the shadows and gently clutching your heart. That's exactly how we felt as dusk settled over the lake. The surface of the water, once calm and soothing, began to ripple inexplicably, as if something beneath was stirring. A chill wind blew, rustling the leaves around us, whispering secrets only the ancient trees understood. The once serene lake had taken a sinister turn, the atmosphere heavy with an unseen threat. We tried to laugh it off, to shake away the fear gnawing at the edges of our courage. But our laughter sounded hollow, echoing eerily off the surrounding forest and the looming stillness of the lake. The jokes fell flat, our voices quivered, and our smiles didn't quite reach our eyes. The fear was palpable, a tangible entity that seemed to grow with the increasing darkness. As the final sliver of the sun dipped below the horizon, the whispers grew louder. They were no longer just the rustling of leaves or the lapping of waves. They were voices, murmuring, echoing across the still waters, seeping into our minds. As the last rays of the sun disappeared, we felt a cold dread settle in. Were we the only ones by the lake that night? Have you ever seen something that your mind screams shouldn't exist? As the flickering fire cast long, eerie shadows around our camp, we began to realize that we were not alone. The first apparition appeared as a spectral light, dancing on the surface of the lake. It was a sight that seemed to defy the very laws of nature, a pulsating orb of luminescent blue that seemed to possess a life of its own. The light glided across the water, casting a chilling glow that sent shivers down our spines. Then came the whispers, soft murmurs that seemed to emanate from the lake itself, growing louder with each passing moment. The voices were indistinct, a cacophony of hushed tones that seemed to echo the pain and sorrow of 1,000 lost souls. We could not discern the words, but the dread they instilled was a universal language, one that spoke directly to the primal fear deep within us. Next we saw the figures, shadowy silhouettes that seemed to rise from the lake's depths, their forms barely discernible through the thick mist that cloaked the water. They moved with an unnatural grace, their ethereal bodies undulating in the gloom. Their presence was an oppressive weight on our chests, a tangible reminder of the unseen horrors lurking beneath the surface. The apparitions seemed to circle our campsite, their spectral forms flickering in and out of existence. The air grew cold, our breaths visible in the moonlight. A sense of dread permeated the night, a fear so palpable it was as though we could reach out and touch it. We were terrified, the whispers of the lake's curse echoing in our minds. Leaving was not an option. We were deep in the heart of the forest, the darkness an impenetrable barrier that held us captive. The path we had taken was swallowed by the night, the way back obscured by the ominous shadows of the towering trees. We were trapped, our way out obscured by the darkness and our campsite haunted by the restless spirits of the lake. Have you ever faced a nightmare knowing that waking up was not an option? With the echoes of the apparitions still ringing in our ears, we realized we were trapped in precisely such a terrifying reality. The only way out was through the heart of the mystery that shrouded the lake. As the chill of the spectral encounter still clung to our skin, we put our heads together, determined to decipher the lake's macabre secret. The clues were scattered around us, hidden in the whispers of the wind, the rustle of the trees, and the eerie silence of the lake itself. The first clue came from an old, weather-beaten plaque half buried in the underbrush near our camp. It narrated the history of a prosperous village that once thrived by the lake, only to be swallowed by its depths in a cataclysmic flood. The lake, it seemed, was a grave holding an entire community within its murky embrace. The second clue was a locket we found, tarnished by time and water, containing a faded photograph of a young woman. Her eyes, hauntingly familiar, mirrored the despair we saw in the apparitions. Had she too been claimed by the lake? The final piece of the puzzle was a diary, its pages yellowed and brittle, that we stumbled upon within a hollow tree. It chronicled the harrowing tale of a desperate father who, in a futile attempt to save his daughter from the encroaching flood, had tethered her to that very tree. But the flood was merciless and the girl was consumed by the lake, her spirit forever bound to its depths. As we pieced together these fragments of the past, the haunting reality of the lake emerged. The restless spirits were not merely ghosts, but echoes of a tragedy that had scarred the lake's soul. The lake was not a malevolent entity, but a grieving monument to lost lives. We realized then the lake was not just whispering, it was crying out in pain and sorrow. Have you ever raced against time with your life hanging by a thread? It's a question that resonates in our heads as we find ourselves on the brink of dawn. We had unraveled the lake's dark secret, and now it was time to pacify the spirits. With the first light of day breaking through the night, we set about our task. It was a daring attempt, a desperate plea for mercy from the ethereal beings that had haunted our night. A sense of urgency drove us as we worked tirelessly, our actions fueled by the hope of escape. And then, as the sun rose, casting its golden light on the lake's surface, the haunting ceased. The apparitions faded into the morning mist, their eerie presence replaced by an overwhelming sense of relief. We had done it. We had escaped the whispering lake. As we left the lake behind, its whispers fading into silence, we knew we had escaped with more than just our lives. We had uncovered the dark secret of the lake, and in doing so set its restless spirits free.